Okay, so hello everyone. Today is Thursday, August the 10th, and we are continuing in our book reading of the book Flight. Harriet, would you like to go ahead and take it away?
I will. Hello, everybody. Let us, before we begin, take a deep, full, cleansing breath. And see this full, deep, cleansing breath as cleansing every cell of our bodies of all impurities and negativities. And as we exhale, we let go of all of those impurities and negativities that have been swept out of ourselves. And see us radiating health, wellness, abundance, and wealth, and all other positive energies. And as we get into our reading today, give us the understanding to discuss what's going on in this novel and sort out how we see and how the experiences of the protagonists of this novel affects us, or how their struggles can help us to become better human beings, better citizens of our society. And we are grateful for this opportunity to come together and the ability to read and understand what is written. And for that, we are so grateful.
Yes. Hello, family.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Okay.
Hi, Forrest.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, perfect. I'm in. I
Okay.
can't see anybody, but I can hear everyone's voice. So that
Okay.
would
Yeah, I
fantastic.
don't have my camera on, and we don't have our cameras
Okay.
on, so.
Okay.
I'm going to begin this week, just as I did last week, giving you an overview of the main characters in the book before we get into the actual reading. The name of the book is Flight, a quantum fiction novel. The author is Vanna Bonta, B-O-N-T-A. And the protagonist in the work in Vanna's book is Mindell J. Orion. He's a writer, and as I said, the protagonist of the book that we're reading. And he is working on a book, and the protagonist of his book is Area Flight. And other characters in the book include, I guess the best way to put it is Aria's soulmate and very close friend, and his name is Jorian. And there are two other characters that I haven't quite figured out what their claim to fame is yet, and that is Loptur and Jurastak. So maybe today in our reading, we'll discover exactly who Jurastak and Loptur are. Okay. Now, beginning on page 43, at the top of the page. Is this even Jurastak? Arya wondered. If it was, the entirety of the situation was too preposterous to gasp. She wondered if the massive figure was only a dummy or some imposter imitating Jurastak's manifestation. It is him, she recognized when she pervaded his space. The outward appearance seemed so benign. How could she have been fooled? How could the tribunal not be aware of this treachery? There had been some discussion of doubt one curve ago. It was incomprehensible. Was it so incomprehensible no one believed it existed? Just as she was now having difficulty believing what was before her very perception, to willingly destroy, to harm, to entrap life is an incomprehensible. Arya again tried granting him the dignity of reason. Juristak, what happened to Onyx? Onyx? Juristak smiled. Is that what you call it? Yes, well, vacation. Onyx won a vacation. What are you doing, Juristak? Couldn't resist the mystery, could you? That fascinating little light? You were curious, weren't you? His reply appalled Arya, confirmed. Hating me, but smiling. Hate? It seemed unbelievable, an emotion applicable only to desire for destruction. Arya knew it was the last solution, a final solution, a no solution. This is why I have not seen it in him, she thought. It is unbelievable. So unbelievable, it is invisible. The evil in him, the thrust to death, was so illogical that, not being within confines of reason, it evaded detection. Arya moved closer to the petition which separated them. Juristak, something has happened to you. Don't do this to yourself. Her earnest attempt to dow him was met with a turgid laugh. Then she saw there was nothing to dow. No free life ran in him. He actually believed that all should be killed, stopped. Myself, he said, still laughing. Don't do this to myself. He laughed harder, then stopped abruptly. Next, you will appeal for the sake of those you benefit, that they not be deprived of you. And he interrupted himself with a roaring laugh from which he seemed unable to recover, but finally quelled enough to continue. You actually believe it, that your way of awareness and creation is needed and good. Arya became starkly aware of mostly one thing. His plan for death were now aimed directly at her. Jurastak's countenance suddenly riveted into sobriety. Most deserving and noble Arya Flight, he pronounced solemnly. You are confused. It is you who I am doing something to. I do nothing to myself, though. Granted, it is a sacrifice to be the only one awake. If you harm me, it will destroy you, Arya told him. Her words weighed with compassion and wrath. Harm? My, you're about to be rewarded. You should think of this and revel. As for all those who depend on you, who you doubt, they will be perfectly fine without you. They don't want truth. They don't want beauty. You saw, they want sensation and relief. You deserve a rest. Aria suddenly felt herself pinned to a location. She could not move. A sensation of degradation overtook her. She could feel it swirling, corroding, dissolving, an insidious liquid invading her very foundation. Worthless, nothing. She fought against being overcome by it. She was feeling as if she were made of sand and being washed away when she was suddenly somewhere else, surrounded by different dimensions, entirely by the wall of a small metal cubicle. Quickly now, Jarastak bustled. We must not underestimate the power of her protest. The atmosphere passage through his form had become rapid. He was sticking it in with his mouth agape, then spitting it out through his teeth as he hunched over the Z board. Come, Laptor, I honor you. You may help me. This is a great moment. Aria Flight is being relieved of the continual burden of caring for others. She can now be rewarded with thinking only of herself. She will serve herself. Within the cubicle, Aria could hear Jurastic, could feel a frenzy which possessed him. Onyx, she called out silently, then made contact. The dragon was in close physical proximity, also in a cubicle. I'm ashamed, flowed Onyx. She had been unable to protect. She was pinned, unable to exercise any of her ability. Do not blame, only cause. We must not let this occur. Whatever happens, stay with me, Aria conveyed. Even if you were to discard your form, do not fear that. She felt sick at the brokenness of Onyx's spirit. Anger began to boil in her again. Jurastic, she yelled. The sound of his name and Aria's tone caused him to look up momentarily from what he was doing. I cannot allow you to do this. You are harming, and it only will limit you further. As envoy of the tribunal, I command you to stop. As Aria Flight sound symbol rang in Z zone, Jurastat held his breath. Aria sensed that her communication had no effect. She wondered how this could be. It was as though he were inanimate, not receiving thought. Inanimate, she wondered. No soul, she tried again. You are betraying me and betraying those whom you interact. Interaction is sacred. By harming me, you also harm all those I help. This is treason. This time, Aria felt something, but it wasn't Jurastic. It was Laptor. He was considering the way he felt in Aria's presence. With her, he felt worthy, calm, able, as though he could do anything he aspired to or dreamed. Jurastic stooped, thumbing through a catalog long enough to flip off the sound monitor, giving it an annoying look as he did so. Retrieving his place in the catalog, he soon announced, here we go. I have just the place. He was programming the system with a sound symbol made him jump. Enough. It originated from a spot in the middle of the room and spread outward in all degrees with such force that it caused Jurastak to straighten up erectly and freeze. He double-checked the sound monitor, determining he had turned it off. A wave of fear shot through him. She's dangerous, he reminded himself. You saw that. He turned to Loktor. Despite that twinkling manner of hers, her displays of pathos and tendency for fun, area flight can be deadly. He turned back to his program, adjusting his cape. She needs a rest. Jurastak, I command you to stop now. He found himself paralyzed first, unable to move. Then he felt himself being pushed out and away from the massive form he was occupying. Arya was taking control of his body, mustering all his intention. Jurastak fought for control of his hand. With all his might, he pulled and pushed, surrendering it with beams, then forced it to slam down on blueprint control, Crack. Then, in the same motion, without losing momentum, he swung the volume lever to maximum. Violent qualities of energy were released. Though he aimed at Arya in her location cubicle, Jurastak felt it because she was pervading him. But he didn't experience the bite of the snarling electrical flood for long. Arya received the brunt of the dose. It sent her into immediate contractions. While electricity swarmed in Arya like a million hornets, Jurastak quickly continued to program the system with his choices for her destiny. Blueprint, carbon, oxygen, body, include complete mind and data bank of social reality, facsimile memory and past and son's years, decades, 1, 2, 3, remote planet, human did type, female, organic, sex, fatal delivery. Jurastak paused, debating some options, then continued. You want to be loved, he stated into the microphone system. You are looking for the one you love, but you don't remember. If it's love, you lose him. You are so afraid of losing that which you love, you must succeed. Then there is something you have to do. Just forget it. You must win, but you are afraid of it now. Afraid you cannot. So why do it? But you must. Forget it. You will have time. There's something you should be doing. Forget about it. Jurastak went on in a steady tone, amplifying the forgetter charge in increments as he talked, pumping megadoses of galvanic force into Arya's chamber. Any comments?
Looks like she's getting ready to be born on Earth.
Say that again?
I said, it looks like she's getting ready to be born on Earth.
Yeah, because And the one thing I forgot to mention when I kind of did a recap of the characters, all along I have felt that Arya is ethereal. She's not in human form. She's a spirit as opposed to being an actual being, physical being, that is. And you might be right. You just might be right as far as her becoming earthbound and a human in human form.
Mhm. I think
Yeah.
that one of the things is that Jurassic, because he is so hateful,
Mhm.
you know, and so that makes him fearful. So, you know, he wants to put her through as much
Misery.
misery as he possibly can. And although and just like what we were talking about earlier, you know, we eat ourselves when we only live in negativity.
Mhm.
So, you know, he's gonna send her right straight to the person that she loves, that she's been looking for. And that's who she's gonna come in contact with. That's who and they're gonna become so successful that it's gonna turn around and bite him in the butt.
And that what usually happens? Yeah,
Very interesting.
that is. Okay, if no more comments, any, Horace, did you want to say something?
You're muted. You're muted for us.
When you're reading,
You're still muted.
I'm just enjoying the reading.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, okay, on to chapter 5. Every dimension point around Arya was in motion, spinning turbulently. She could not focus on anything. Simply don't be there. The knowledge glimmered, barely, as though very, very far away. Don't be there. Don't agree. It was Onyx, violently or valiantly trying to be on duty, sensing and projecting truth data. That's right, Arya remembered slowly. I mustn't agree. That will make it real. Who are you? You are what you see. You'll know, but you don't remember. Let go. Give up. Nothing. Forget it. You're sleeping. The voice droned on and clung to particles which were sticking on her. Excuse me. It was confusing, difficult to make distinctions now. There was no distance between her and the sound, and the words seemed to emanate from within herself. Yet she hung on to one thing, that she was life. She couldn't hold on to the sense of herself long before it was bombarded with other thought that seemed like her own. Yet it was not, but it was. But was it? Now she could simply consider what she knew. But what was it? There. No, that wasn't it. There. No. Jurastack leaned on the full intensity, activate, and Arya was hit with force that she ceased to comprehend at all. All done, Jurastack said, believed through his clenched jaw. I'm sorry, relieved through his clenched jaw, still bore pressure that was surging through him. Now we'll let her process for a while and work on cubicle 2. Jurassic coded the blueprint and destination for Onyx. Who am I? I don't know. He was laying phrases into the microphone, deeply engrossed in the final stages of the program. At least he appeared engrossed to Lopator, who, leaning forward with his elbow, decreased the power that was pumping into cubicle 1, where Ari was pinned in a negative-positive vortex. Jurisdak could not have otherwise noticed, but when he reached over to press the transport control, he detected ripples of fear and located Lopator as their source. When Jurassic unflinchingly confronted him, Lopator flushed with a wave of embarrassment, confusion, and blurred. The wattage needed. Yes, Jurassic calmly prompted him. I just thought, yes, Jurassic spotted the change and turned the power back up to maximize where he had left it, to maximum rather, where he had left it. I just thought it would be more interesting if she were allowed to retain some of her memory. It would make it more interesting, more confusing. Terror seized Lopator as he realized Jurassic knew he was lying. Perhaps you would like to join them and make it even more interesting, Jurassic offered. No, they were not going to the game of opposites. Yeah? No, Jurassic was appalled. I see the trap. It's getting the best of you, Lopator. You are disagreeing, struggling. Let us rid you of this burden. You need a rest. Surprising even himself, Lopator wildly and suddenly threw himself into the Z board and frantically began undoing Jurastak's program. The image of Aria filled him with courage. He could not let this happen. The vision of her pinned to a form, to a carbon oxygen body, which grew from an elementary cell, and her being unconscious as it developed, matured, and died, deceiving her that she was nothing but biological matter. No. Lopator began to function as a soul. His sentence returned, and his own thoughts blossomed. He acted despite his fear, propelled by ideas greater than himself. No beautiful, not beautiful and good Aria who loves, who grants life, he was thinking as he decreased electrical output across the board. Jurastack grabbed Lopator by the shoulders, wrenched him backwards off the board, and sent him sprawling into the glossy marathon floor. Marathene floor, Pictures and sound symbols volleyed from within cubicle 1 and 2. You're there, not there, elsewhere, but here. Forget. You are everything you see. Facsimiles and complete data banks, which could not act as whole personality. Negative, positive, pain and pleasure charges surged and diminished, amplified and withdrew. Hurricanes of electricity pain, riding on its currents, rampaged, then subsided, then crackled angrily again. You fool, Jurastack blustered. You've released the contaminant shield from the floor Loptor could see through the petition to the L'Oreal's debarkation platform. Cloud masses of activated program were seeping out of the location cubicles and going rampant in the atmosphere around the debarkation area. Area semi-condensed, stunned, contracted, but functioning, stumbled into view, carrying Onyx. It must be contained, Jurassic gasped, staring at the Z board to determine what to do. He could have bypassed and shut down, but that would have an awake area flight with whom to contend. Loptor was back on his feet. Something had happened to him. His visage was contorted with joy and anger intermixed. He was acting on a reason other than the avoidance of pain. The sentiment was loyalty, and it felt glorious. It gave him strength as he punched and pulled and pushed, and he felt glorious power which he had long forgotten he possessed. It was his soul. It was he. He was crying with joy. His primary objective was to prevent the forgetter charge from obliterating areas awareness before the transport was complete. Then, no matter where she ended up, she could at least recover, even if it took time. She would eventually confront and find her way home again. And feel free to stop me anytime if you have a comment or something that you want to put in.
Okay, we're good. I'm good.
Okay. Home. Loptor was racked with grief of joy and regret. Home. It was love he had connected to, and it was feeding his dry and parched self. Oh, what had ever possessed him to believe just that? He saw Aria by the platform. She had slumped at its edge, struggling for strength to manage aboard the L'Oreal. Torrents of voltage and storms of current rampaged in the chamber. The bloody blueprint. Loptor panicked as he realized it was still activating, still condensing parcels into electrical ridges, forming a permanent body around Aria. He lunged for it. He was whimpering now, shaking with urgency, regret, despair, and love, repeating Aria's name and, "This is not right." Just as he had reached the body blueprint and was beginning to twist it off, he felt Jarostak stun him. He was suddenly drained and had no more visor. Slowly, his fingers limply slipped off the control and down the board. Loptor crumpled to the floor. I tried, he wept, unable to move. He sensed Jarostak above him. What? He began, his voice weak and breaking, but he forced the rest out. Did she ever do to you? Loptor's final thought before final blackness was the horror of Aria flight becoming the organic fetus of a carbon oxide body. Jarostak looked down at Loptor to digest and pity. Let me read that one again. Jarostak looked down at Loptor in disgust and pity. He was sizzling with contempt and frustration at the stupidity and ignorance of others. Dangerous. He punctured his thought with a kick to Loptor's side. They're dangerous. He kicked him again. Looking up, Jurassic saw that Arya had managed herself and Onyx back into the craft. He shuffled to the Z-board, surveying damage and options, and quickly readjusted as many settings as he could. It was impossible to enter the contained area without being affected. Jurassic analyzed. He would be unable to isolate Arya and Onyx back into their cubicles. The programs were still pumping, but he had no choice other than to activate transport right then from right where Arya and Onyx stood, meaning the craft will have to go too, meaning they might not even begin on a cellular time stream, meaning there's no guarantee parts of their awareness might not splinter off into different dimensions. He didn't know what would happen, even though he had reprogrammed the setting. They had been so altered, the procedure had been tampered with while in progress. Transport. He had to get them out of there. Jurastac shrugged as he did so. It wouldn't be the first time that some planet went frantic over seeing an unidentifiable spacecraft crash through its atmosphere, he thought. Surveying how drastically some of the levers had been swung back and forth and the settings varied, Jurastac shook his head. He wondered, Arya, Onyx, and Ilaria disintegrate before his eyes? The program storms dissolving with them? If anything, he thought, they will be a little more He cleared his throat. Complex? Surely the forgetter has taken effect. That what causes what counts most. Their sweet, eternal slumber. Jurassic shrugged again. He arched his elbows maximally, looked down at Loptor, then dragged him to a cubicle for transport. It was his turn. Comments?
Well, you can really tell that this is, a science fiction writer.
Mhm.
It sounds so much like that Star Trek transporter.
Transporter. Mhm.
So I find that it's interesting that there was a struggle between Laptor, and that is
Yeah,
Laptor
Loptor
and
and Jurassic.
Jurassic. Yeah, simply because they have, those two have been, although they have not really been on the same page,
Uh-huh.
but it's been, Laptor has always been quiet
Mm-hmm.
that he's not on the same page, but he goes along with everything that Jurassic does,
Until now.
until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that, that finally he showed up and okay, now this is wrong. This is, and he tried to recover or to make it not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But because and a lot of times, I'm just looking at it from a human standpoint, when we follow so much, so blindly,
Mm-hmm.
although that is not, although we have a split mind, we follow something, a person or an ideology that we don't really agree with, but I guess it makes it easier to do that. So
Yeah,
that when the rubber really hits the road, we really can't make it right. You know,
exactly.
I think it's because, you know, we are so caught in to it that, you know, you know, you don't think properly. It's like, you know,
Right,
he just didn't think right. Because if he would have, you know, really put some focus and some thought into it, he probably could have done, but he was acting out of his emotions.
right. And I think when you look at the two of them, um, Jurassic and people with negative personalities very often have a way of trying to appear stronger than what they are, and they know exactly how to manipulate people that they feel they can take advantage of. And I think
Mhm.
in this is a situation where Laptor is perhaps the more accommodating of the two of them. And to me, he's showing a little bit of heart, if you will,
Mhm.
wherein Jurassic is just pure mean and evil.
Yeah, he enjoys it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like Arya was saying, she couldn't see his
Mhm.
negativity because she doesn't see negativity. And that's
Right.
what we were talking about yesterday in the Course of Miracles, that, you know, eventually we got to get to the point where we just don't see it.
Hmm.
You know, we don't see the negativity, you know, but because she did not see it and did not sense it, and he obviously was stronger than her.
Right. Well,
Uh,
I'm I, I'm gonna kind of jumping ahead. I'm gonna take issue with that. I don't think that he is stronger than her. It's just that she was more trusting and he sensed that and he tried to take advantage of it.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I still see that at this moment, because because she is not evil,
No, no.
she can't see how evil works. So
Right, right.
in that aspect,
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying that
that's
that's
what I was trying to say.
yeah, that in that aspect he was stronger than her, because but because she didn't realize her fuller power, because that's
Hmm.
why he knows how dangerous she is, because she still is young. I don't know
Hmm.
how old these people are, you know, but he's, I mean, you know, Laptor and what's his name, Jurassic,
I kind of get the feeling that they're
older.
probably, yeah, older, maybe in their late
Yeah, because
30s,
they're, you
early
know, and they're part of
40s.
the tribunal. But see, Jurassic, he really does not have any type of power. Whereas I think Laptor probably still does, because, you know, he's whatever type of entity that they are.
Hmm.
And he hasn't lost all of his like Jurassic has. And
Right,
Arya hasn't grown into her full awareness yet. But
right.
I think that this is why she needs to go to have this experience, so that she can get into her fullness.
Okay,
It
I'll go
seems
with
really,
it.
it's very interesting. It's a really
Yeah,
good story.
it is. It really is.
What are your thoughts?
Um, I agree with you in that I see her as a younger person who is growing into her power. And at the same time, because she is young and perhaps not as experienced as someone who would be older would be, she's vulnerable to the evils of Juristat.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing everything he can to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with each experience or each, experience, she is becoming more and more awake or aware.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do,
Looks like we lost Forrest altogether.
yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, chapter 6, this is a short one.
Mm-hmm.
A lament rose from the vastness, woe for a presence now missing. Galaxies were robbed of a mirth that had sailed them, and the stars cried to be again the beacons of that warmth.
Mm-hmm.
All elements felt the privation and set forth a wind which swept disconsolately, both searching and carrying the dirage. Area flight was gone. Oh, wow.
That's really interesting, that concept right there, that
Mhm.
the universe weeps when a soul leaves it, because
Right.
Arya left whatever space time continuum that she was in,
Mhm.
and everything that was around her, which is part of her, noticed.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, a lot of times when we are so involved in our individuality, we don't know that the person next door or we don't know that somebody else it can be affected by our leaving.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I
And
thought that was a really great portion.
yeah. And reading that, it just brought to mind, and I can understand why too. It just brought to mind scenes from Star Trek, where
Mhm.
where the different characters would step on that whatever it was, and then they would, um, be go from one dimension to another, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And of course, she was Vanna Bonta, that is. She was one of the, I think she was on the writing staff for Star Trek.
Mhm. Next
One,
Generation.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. So it all makes sense.
Hold on. Well, go ahead. This is Hope. Let me chat with her for a second. But
Okay.
you can go. You can continue. I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay.
let her know that I'm coming right back. I'm gonna turn my mic off.
Oh, okay. Chapter 7. Do you know what the Aurora Borealis is? Mendel asked Sandra. He wouldn't have called her, but he had been drinking. She liked him when he was a project he justified. No, Mendel. Then there it was, that condescending, patronizing tone. It rankled him, but opposition had its purpose, especially when his own will was not fueling him. Opposition was a primitive incentive for progress. Mendel smiled to himself and held up the newspaper, pressing the phone to his ear with his right shoulder. It's in today's paper now. You tell me what you think. Ready? Sandra was going over papers at her desk. As much as she had wanted to hear from him, she detected the dull edges of his words, the challenging attitude. Yes. Okay, Mendel began. Then, the aurora borealis is one of nature's most dazzling spectacles. When it appears, there is often a crackling sound coming from the sky. He paused, and then Sandra did not fill in the gap. He continued. A long, luminous light, arc lights up the black night, and it is in constant motion. Sometimes they flash here and there like giant searchlights, or move up and down suddenly. What's your point, Mendel? Sandra oscillated from disgust through concern to annoyance. Listen, listen, Mendel reprimanded her. Now I lost my place. Let's see, okay. Blah, dee, da, dee, da. Oh, here we go. Luminescence. Ball, dee, da, blah, dum, dee, dum, hum, hum. He scanned text, reciting it in noises until he caught up to the sentence he had last read. Here it is. Mendel. This is the important part. Now listen to this. Science is still not regarding exactly what those lights are and what causes them, but it is believed that the rays are due to discharges of electricity in the rare upper atmosphere. She was definitely quiet. Deafeningly quiet. Science is still not sure, Mendel repeated, still silent. Then finally, so do you know what they are and what causes them? No, Mendel, I don't. She almost refrained, but asked, do you? And which wished she had not. Could, he said, between mischief and mystery. Could. Perhaps I do. Could, as in might. Perhaps there are activities going on about which we Earth people know nothing. Electrical activities in the upper atmosphere and beyond. Okay, Mendel, thanks for the news flash. I thought you might find it interesting. Earth-shattering, Sandra carped. A messenger was standing in front of her desk and handing her a memo for the 4 o'clock deadline to return to her story. Mendel, that's not all. Anticipating her sign-off, Mendel caught her. This was in the paper this morning, and did you see the lightning last night? I heard the thunder too. Yeah, well, what? Another coincidence. Thunder when there's lightning? No. What I was writing happened again. I was writing about electronics, a battle, and the electrical storm happened outside. I was writing it, and it happened. There were storms of high voltage. Now this is in the paper. Sandra interrupted him. There is help for substance abuse, you know. Her comment triggered a high-pitched laugh. Mendel found it hilarious from his perspective. You can't abuse substance, he said. It abuses you. Sandra sighed. Can we talk later? No. I'm telling you, it happened. Another coincidence. How do you know what happened if you're drunk? You ever think about that? I wasn't drunk when I was working. I saw the lightning. They both happened. Mendel, you've been drinking. I have work to do. Tell me I was wrong. Tell me we don't live in one big magnetic field and that solids are the illusion. Hey, so I've had a couple of drinks, even drunk. I know more what's happening than you do. She didn't say anything. Tossing the paper to the floor, Mendel said, I can do mental pirouettes around any genius on the planet, drunk or sober. But I'm being abused by a little substance right now. I'm just trying to keep it interesting. That's it. Do you know how boring? Mendel, I really have to go. Wait. He wanted to tell Sandra about the emptiness that had been gnawing at him. Instead, he told her what he believed was causing it. She's dead, he pronounced soberly. What? Area flight. Mendel, for God's sake, please get some help. Sandra hung up. Mendel stared at the receiver and vowed he would never call her again. He was glad now he hadn't mentioned that he had also seen Aria. On second thought, he had auto redialed much too hard, and at the sound of Sandra's executive yes delivered his round. Sandra, I finally saw her. She's as beautiful physically as she is in spirit. He hung up. Mendel rubbed his forehead and rolled his chair away from his desk. He stared at the floor for some moments, the focus going in and out. Oh no, he moaned incredulously. I really didn't do that. His respect for himself developed another fracture. How did I get here? He had needed a drink, just one to relax him. It might prime where the novel will go next. To celebrate finishing a chapter, it would settle the churning feeling. Just a little warmth to work from the inside out. There were plenty of reasons. Mendel inhaled deeply, shifting his gaze to the window. Cascades of red, bougainvillea, blue skies. It was a good day. I have no reason to feel terrible. Yet he did feel an ominous depression. What is this damn emptiness? He got up and began to pace. He was blocked. He couldn't write. He longed for her companionship, and now she was gone. Gone? He caught himself. What the hell am I saying? In the chapter Mendel had written the night before, he had done more than feel Aria. He saw her. It seemed so real. And the danger when I couldn't feel her anymore, Mendel calmed himself. It was describing her physically. That made him see her. What made it seem real? He thought about her. She had very big eyes. They were blue, bluer than blue. Her hair was gold in waves. Her lips were full. She moved gracefully, her motions almost dance-like, yet she was strong. Her body was classical, not thin, but lithe in the manner she moved it. Her hands were expressive with very long fingers, like those of an artist. Yet I still see her. Who's to say what's real anyway, Mendel muttered to himself. His thoughts careened forward. Reality is relative. Time is not linear. The universe is an interplay of thought and matter. Stop, he commanded his battle of thought. Quiet. He held his head. Maybe this is why I drink. Mendel began to break up on the inside. In a whirlpool of confusion, he felt so alone. He tried turning himself inside out. He sobbed. The sound of his crying made him cry even more. Me and my pathetic idea. To think that someone from the pages of a book could come to life and love me. I'm going crazy. Mendel wiped his face. His own whimpering lament sounded strange to him. Even his plaintive words sounded like someone else. I just wanted someone to care. The feeling that he was groveling escalated his dolor into anger. To give me some, to save me from this excuse for a civilization run by self-serving, profiteering, greed buckets. His eyes narrowed as he thought about it. Mendel pointed accusatively at the air and shouted, "There is a purpose to life. I better wise up, join the club, the fuck and shit club, the pain of solitude and the string of many miscomprehensions made their way into Mendel's face. Escaping as crumpled grimaces, brandishing his fists as if at a rally, he yelled, "People are even fighting for their rights to hear those words on records and tapes and in movies. It's even called art." He became quiet when, in instant retrospect, he saw himself eerie. He was screaming in pain and simultaneously observing himself again. Even now, the incessant observation and speculation didn't stop. How could it be that he was aching, yet coolly watching himself going through it? It was as though living were some sort of staged event for the purpose of learning. There's a reason for everything. Mendel reminded himself, maybe that was the real me, he thought. Lowering himself into his chair, the part that remained bigger than all of it, while the rest of me dives headlong into experiences of agony and bliss. That's called detached, he debated aloud, then silently posed. But maybe none of it is really real anyway. The gas bill was in his line of vision, the red strip reminding him of impending shutoff if he didn't pay it by the coming week. "You're real," Mendel told the bill, pointing at it with accusatory resignation. He glanced across the room, reestablishing that his portable typewriter was still there. He had purchased it the first time his electricity had been cut off due to non-payment. Sandra had found him that evening in candlelight, eating caviar, which he had purchased in defiance of the occasion. The following day, he spent the last of his money on a portable typewriter. "You never know when the electromagnetic fields are going to shift around this planet," he said, genuinely thinking the electricity episode was fortuitous in that it prepared him. All computer disks could be wiped out. Meanwhile, all the food in your refrigerator is getting wiped out. Sandra had reproached him with disdain, but usual prelude to paying a bill. Thank God I'll be able to pay her back now. Mendel lifted the whiskey to his mouth and drank, aware of the burn down his throat when he swallowed. "And money," he declared sardonically, "that's very real." Setting the bottle down on the table hard made the sound jolt through his body. "Love? Hey, a friend is someone who can give you something. That's all. Loyalty. Mr. Orion, huh? Surely you jest. Nobility of character. What's that?" Mendel stood up and confronted his image in a mirrored wall. He mockingly smiled for himself, holding out an imaginary microphone. "Tell me, Mr. Orion, what are your views on art today?" He played announcer. "Art today?" he posed, changing facial expression. "Artists have been replaced by imposters who fondle their sexual organs on stage and clamor for the right to say four-letter words, saying they're going to liberate. Those are the ones getting paid. Ooh, we're free now. We're really free. We can say fuck into the microphone Mendel suddenly didn't feel so clever. He looked ugly to himself. He wiped his face with his open palm, then made it back to his chair and sat down. His fingers knitted between his knees. He came out of several moments of quietly sitting, realizing he had been staring at the wall beseechingly. It said nothing to him. He yelled suddenly, "Doesn't anybody hear me? Isn't there anybody out there?" He perched on the edge of silence. "Hell no," he called out so loudly that it created an effect on himself. Wildly, he grabbed and aimed the remote control at the television. Well, with a flourish, he recommended it on, or he commanded it on. "I knew you wouldn't let me down," he sneered caustically, changing channel to channel. Yup, murder, rape, shooting, war, murder, rape, robbery, war. He took a drink of whiskey from the bottle and traced another burn down his throat. It's so nice to stop the hurt, to stop the noise, to stop it, to not care, to let go. Even so, somewhere from where he had remotely pushed his awareness, Mendel Orion knew it was only a temporary solution. Before leaving her office, one of the last things Sandra Wilford did was to phone Rex Benton. She knew he was scheduled to be a panelist at the World Science Fiction Convention, but pretended she was just finding out when he told her. She feigned a fluster and said, "I was just calling to see if you wanted to go together. But if you're all ready." "Not at all, dear," Rex agreed in his elaborate manner. "We'll go together." Sandra was relieved she would not be alone. Attending the convention with Rex would be a good reason for being there. Heard from Mendel, she decided to tell him, "Rex, I'm very worried about him. He's not doing well." Having heard of Mendel's recent success, Rex found perverse comfort in hearing of trouble. Mendel J. Orion having problems acted as an anchor of sorts. It didn't allow excellence to rock the boat with comparison. It meant the world was still safe. No one was better than anybody else. No one had excelled out of the boat. Misery was uniform. Unable to take comfort in inspiration or hope, Rex found company in limitations. He was a man to be understood more than to be condemned. In his own way, he was only seeking companionship. Any comments?
Well, it is really interesting still because it was. I'm just trying to figure out who Sandra was again. Wasn't she his editor? Didn't she start off as his editor, but he had like an affair with her? I can't remember.
They were involved, but I didn't get. I might have missed it, but I'm not saying whether she was or she wasn't, his editor, but I know they were involved. Shall we say physically?
Right. I know.
And he was trying to find a way to get her out of his life, but yet and still he seemed to be dependent on her.
Yeah, well now he doesn't need her anymore because he's already found Ariel.
Yeah,
right. So he has.
Yeah, but she's flesh and blood. Ariel is not yet.
Well, yeah, well, Ariel is now because she already made it to Earth. He just hadn't come in contact with her yet.
Uh,
Oh, you made some fish? Oh, good idea, Wazzy, huh? Good job. They told me he made- yeah, I think that so so what I was going to bring up about her is that
Sandra?
yeah, Sandra, yeah.
Okay,
She just won't let it go.
exactly.
She just won't let it go, and he's already made a determination. See, the problem that he did was when he butt dialed her, he should have just hung up. No,
Right.
but he still had something to say.
Mhm,
Okay.
So
exactly. And I
and
think, and I think that call to, what's his name, Rex?
mhm,
I, even though she already, and it was brought out, that she already knew he was gonna be at this convention, but she faked it. And I think what she's trying to do is make Mendel jealous.
Yeah,
stalker. She
I
just a
think
stalker.
so.
She a stalker. She wanted to get there so she could
Stalker.
be around there, so she could be
Mhm,
around him. He not
mhm.
gonna be, she know he's not gonna be jealous of her. She just wants to cause some trouble. That's why she told Rex that
That he was not doing so
he
good.
was not doing well. Because she
Yeah,
wants to see his demise because he doesn't want her anymore. He doesn't even want to be
Right.
bothered with her. So she wants to see
She's
his
a
downfall.
troublemaker.
Yeah,
exactly.
troublemaker.
She's a troublemaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, so when he so now he's going to go to the science fiction fair, and he was because like he don't hang out with nobody else. He don't have any other friends.
Right.
That's probably why he couldn't let Sandra go, because he needs to talk to somebody. Because then he tells her how he realized that his writing was coming true.
Mm-hmm.
That I was writing about an electrical storm. An electrical storm was happening.
Right. Right.
So so she also is
Excuse me.
she also wants to be a part of that, because she really doesn't have anything else going on either.
Right.
And I think that that's what Rex was saying. But didn't he say something about everything was kind of lonely? And he doesn't mind being in limitation. What was he saying? The Rex guy. Rex, I'm very worried about him. He's not okay. Unable to take comfort. Okay. Unable to take comfort in inspiration or hope, Rex found company in limitations. He was a man to be understood more than to be condemned. In his own way, he was only seeking companionship. So it's so many lonely people here.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is isolated within themselves.
Right.
This is a really, really good story. This would make a good movie. But
I was thinking the same thing.
But I'm glad it's not a movie, because we wouldn't be able to see all of these little intricacies.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing would be, after we read the book, that it does come out as a movie and we have a better understanding of what we're seeing on the screen, even though a lot of it will probably be left out, because nowadays anything based on a work of fiction or any kind of written work, when it goes to the screen, a lot is left out. Yeah, a lot is left out, and then innuendos are made that
to sell.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because this would have to be big budget.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
would really have to be big budget, like a Spielberg or,
right,
somebody like that,
exactly.
to give, J.J. Abrams, to give it real, credence, so
Exactly.
that we could, really probably get
Yeah,
the
'cause
best writers, the best screenwriters, and, the majority, the best out of it.
right, because the first person that came to my mind when I thought about it being a movie was Spielberg,
Uh-huh.
because he knows how to take stuff like this and make it be true to it, and at the same time keep your interest up.
Right.
Yeah, I thought,
And yeah, any other comments?
well, it's 8:23. Do
Oh,
we want to get started on another on the next, on chapter 8, or did you want to just, kind of do our round
Chap-
table now?
yeah, let's do the round table because chapter 8 is kind of lengthy. And I'd like to read the whole chapter at one time.
Yeah. So yeah, we can just we can continue to talk about what we think about the story, or we can just do a round table real quick. Well, I can start off with the round table.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm seeing in this story, first of all, is excuse me, is so much creativity. This lady, she was so creative. This might have been a story that she kind of pitched to somebody, back in the 90s, because it was written in the 90s, right? 95, 98, something like that. When is the copyright? Copyright is 1995. So, she probably had already pitched this idea to somebody at some point in time. And, it's so big. It has a lot of metaphysics attached to it. How people come to Earth. Time travel. It has, so it would go over other people's heads. So that's why I think that the way that she creatively writes, creative writing, her creative writing skills are so big and so vast. Because even now, I mean, this was copywritten in 1995. So she probably started writing in
1990.
or the 70s.
Right. And also too, the other thing too is back in 95, women were still not in the forefront as far as and I mean, as far as the United States is concerned, we still haven't come into the modern era because we are one of the few large industrialized countries that has not even had a female leader.
Right.
So women were still being put on the back burner, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna finish my round table.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just had to get that in there.
It happens every week. I say, oh my God. But that's okay. That's okay. But anyway.
You always start another train of thought in another sense of direction. I'm sorry.
No. But one of the but so what I can, so how this can, how what I can do in my life is, like I said, I'm ready to, I'm writing again. I'm writing creatively. I'm doing some creative writing now. So,
Hey.
and this book really helps whet my appetite.
Good.
Right. And it gives me and and that's really well, I know y'all don't know, we haven't done like the 12 powers and from Unity. We're gonna have to do that one day on
Okay.
the 12 powers. But
We can do that the next open discussion.
Oh,
But
okay.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
The imagination is a is one of the points, one of the power points in our creative body, in our bodies.
Mhm.
So when we use, so it's good to, when we use our imagination, that also builds our strength to become whole, like our whole entire being. So yeah, so I'm impressed by her writing skills, and and with her, this came back from the 90s, so that's what, almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And but it whets my appetite to get back into my imagination and my creative writing.
Great.
So that's it for me. Okay, who's next?
Did you want to give your thoughts, Forrest?
Sure, I can just say this. Well, I just want to say I apologize for my phone going in and off and in and off and in and off. So hopefully in the future my phone will be better. But I enjoy listening to what I heard, because I actually can see some of the things in her book and apply it to my life, that I see things in my life, like even being lonely and other things, trying to do other things, but it allows me to see things more clearly about who we are. So that I enjoy reading that, because it allows me to see more of who I am.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
And what about you, Harriet?
Well, for me, this whole book, I was hesitant to mention it when we decided we were going to discuss what we were going to be reading after we finished Book of Longing, because I had read a review of it, and it sounded fascinating to me, but I didn't really want to even mention it because I hadn't read it myself, and I didn't know, if it was, but now I'm glad I did, because I'm really enjoying it. And it's and like with you, Penelope, the one thing I'm seeing how the mind can wander and then come back into focus and produce something that is worthy. And I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but I sometimes think of myself as a scatterbrain because my mind is all over the place, and it sometimes takes a period of just concentration, meditation for me to harness that wildness back into focus. And this to me is showing me that even in that scatterbrain mind of mine, all is okay, because somewhere along the line, something's going to come forward to get me focused and get me back into line.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, this was I'm enjoying this book, and this was a really great session today. So tomorrow is Friday. We don't have anything going on tomorrow, Friday, but Saturday we have the healing with the chakras. Excuse me. And you said we're going to be working with the throat chakra, correct?
Yes.
So that's going to be really good. Sunday we're going to do tarot.
Yes.
Okay,
Sunday
nice.
we're going to do tarot. So one of the things, so since we're going to be working with the throat chakra on Saturday, what we might do is do all of the swords. So because at first I was going to work with all from 1s to 10s, but maybe we'll work from,
The swords through the court cards of the swords.
yeah, we'll do the swords and you know, we'll do the first 10 major arcana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we do the first 10 major arcana, and then we'll do the swords. We'll work with those two cards together. Since we're gonna be working with doing a chakra.
Wait. When you say the major arcana, you said the 10, that is number 10 in the major arcana. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
from 1 through 10.
Oh, 10,
Yeah.
10 cards in the major arcana, and then the 10 pip
And
cards
yes,
of the minor, of the
yeah, the
of
suit of
the
swords.
trump, of the swords in the minor arcana. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that then, you know, I think that that's going to be I think that that's going to be really good. Let's see, actually, let's see, next, I think that, so that's Sunday. Then of course we got Wednesdays, Course in Miracles, Friday 6:30. We got, you know, we're doing the healing sessions, or I don't have a name for that yet. So if we can come up with a name, you know, just healing, I don't know what we're gonna call it. Health, I don't know. On Thursday mornings from 11 to 12. And then Thursday evening, we're right back here again with Flight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds good. All right, would Forrest, would you like to, huh?
Sure. Hello,
We hear you.
hello,
Yes.
hello.
Hey, Forrest, let me close out in
Okay.
prayer, because I got to make several phone calls. I got a lot of people calling me. So
Okay.
let me go ahead and close out in prayer. There's only one source. That source is love. Love is energy. Love is divinity. Love is truth. Love is innocence. This essence of this source lives in us as us. And as we allow ourselves and open ourselves to more and more awareness of this source, we get to know who we are more honestly, more truthfully, and we become unapologetically authentic. And as we live this truth through our daily routines, in each and every thought, in all of our movements, we are so grateful for the opportunity to be the bearer of light. And with this opportunity and this grace and this grandeur and this victory that we live in, we release all love, all strength, all awareness, all abundance, all things that is of the essence into the visible space that we are. And with that we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
And so it
Good night.
is.
Thank you.
All right then, darlings, I love you.
Love you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a great evening.
Okay, you too, bye.
Bye.